First, when is this economic relief bill going to be passed that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said is going to provide some relief for many Americans who are facing down the prospects potentially of losing their jobs?
Well, Kevin, that's an important question. We've committed to staying through the weekend to get this passed as quickly as possible. I'm certainly not leaving until we get it done. I've spent roughly the last 10 days on the phone nonstop with hospitals, nursing homes, Georgians, families, understanding what their needs are, and have worked to really make sure that that bill reflects what everyday Americans need in their lives right away.
Senator, do you think that hospitals right now, as of Friday, early evening, are prepared for the coming likely crisis that many of them are going to face? Do they have enough equipment? Are the supply chains intact?
Well, Kevin, I'm certainly looking at that area very closely. In fact, I've introduced legislation to create the supply chain visibility that we need for core equipment, personal protective equipment, swabs, other testing materials that we understand could be in short supply. We need to have better visibility and transparency around our ability to serve our citizens, and I think that legislation will be part of this new bill.
Well, you talk about transparency, Senator, you know this. Over the last 24 hours, you and some of your colleagues have come into, there's been questions about stock trades that you made. And I'm wondering right now if you can say 1,000% that you did not provide any illegal information that would have benefited your stock portfolio in the midst of this crisis.
Absolutely certain. I have no involvement with the investment activities conducted by third-party advisors. I made that decision before coming into the Senate. In fact, I made that decision in the private sector where I worked in the investment management business. And many of your viewers will know that the strict rules under the SEC prohibit things like insider trading on material non-public information. These are core tenets. I'm the only CFA in the Senate. I know exactly what is required under the law. I held myself to that in the private sector. I'm holding myself to that standard and even higher in the Senate. So I have no engagement with my activities in terms of investment, as well as the fact that these third-party advisors have no communications from me at all.
So did any of your staff communicate with them? Did anyone in your family communicate with them, or no?
No, that's not how we have it set up. There's a complete disconnect from me and my family with the investment advisors. We have an employee in our personal family office that intermediates between the advisors, and there's no reason that they would need to talk to us or that I would want to share anything. I certainly don't have any information that I would want to share with them at any time in order to comply with all the applicable SEC rules, the Senate ethics rules, and this is how I conduct my affairs. It's how I've always conducted my affairs and will going forward.
Has Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell or anyone from the Senate ethics probes, have they called your office? Have they contacted other senators who are facing these questions?
I can't speak for other senators, certainly, but I'll tell you 100%, if anyone reaches out, I will be completely responsive. I believe in transparency. I think the Stock Act in the Senate is important. It has provided this transparency. I make any trades or transactions, or my third-party intermediaries do, knowing full well that these trades are going to be reported. It's important transparency that I think, will be easy to provide the details should we have any questions, and I'm happy to comply.
Do you think, do you understand, though, the concern? I mean, I hear what you're saying, that you did nothing wrong, but do you understand the concern and the optics, at least, of how this looks, not just on behalf of yourself, Senator, but the other senators who have been mentioned in this, especially at a time in which Americans are truthfully wondering if they're going to have enough to pay their bills over the next 2 weeks?
Well, certainly, I understand why these rules exist. I have been part of enforcing these rules and actually bringing additional rules in the private sector to promote compliance and prevent insider dealing. And so the important thing to me is that everything be made transparent. And I can't speak for other senators, but I certainly appreciate why these rules are in place and the importance of complying, and that's why I've over-complied in Congress. I would say that very few people could have a problem with saying that I'm I've turned all of my affairs all over to third-party advisors and am not conducting any of that myself. So I've given up the ability to transact freely in my financial life.
And Senator, just one final question. Do you have any regrets over how you conducted your financial dealings over the past several months as it relates to this?
Not at all. In fact, I've made extra careful precautions to not just comply with the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law. And I'll continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to do everything with the spirit of transparency and the law, as I've always done throughout my career.